What's up, guys? Welcome back to Crypto Weekly Review, home of the Wolf Pack. In this episode, we're going to talk to Thomas Rex. This is not a paid promotion. We are just having a conversation and learning a little bit more about Rex.io. Hey, Thomas, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about how you got into crypto?
Yes, absolutely. I'm Thomas, I made Rex, and at first I want to say thank you very much for having me. It's really a pleasure and an honor. As you can maybe hear from the tone of my voice or from my accent, I'm German. A little bit about me. I have studied computer science and economics. And while I was studying, I was also a business consultant, so I have some experience in this field as well. And what's interesting about me, I started martial arts when I was 8. And now, actually, I run a company since a decade or even longer, where we manufacture electronic devices. So I'm an entrepreneur, I guess, and I work there full time. And for the last 2.5 years, something like that, I made the Rex project. So I do that in my free time, and it's exciting, it's very interesting, and it's a lot of work. So yes, that was my introduction, I guess.
Okay.
Thank you.
So how did you find yourself in the Hex ecosystem?
I actually knew about crypto since 2013, 14, something like that, because of my technology background. I love the blockchain technology and the system and the new decentralized money. I found it really exciting. I haven't invested in those early days, what I think was the early days for me. But I started to get involved like in 2018, something like that, after the Bitcoin went down. And the Hex ecosystem, it was a friend of mine who's also my lawyer, who's in crypto also, and he just said, have a look at that. There's this guy telling me about this staking token, and he told me it's interesting, and it's like a long-term thing, it's like a certificate of deposit, and yeah, that's how I came to find Hex, and I went into Hex like in the very first week 2, week 3, something like that, and then I participated in the auctions, basically. That's how I found it. It was a friend of mine and my lawyer.
Yeah, it's interesting because we got in about at the same time. I happened to catch the 2017 bull rally, which basically changed my life. You know, I wasn't even into finance or anything like that. I came in more on the libertarian side.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
Yeah, awesome.
So what made you want to fork Hex onto BSC? Actually, like, can you explain a little bit about Rex and how it works and how it's similar or dissimilar to Hex?
Absolutely. The idea was not really to fork it. When we got into Hex, we realized that it's not providing the flexibility that we needed in our lives because, for example, one of our friends had a divorce, he was in Hex as well, he couldn't do anything with his ongoing stakes, with his active stakes, so we thought, it would be cool to split it. And also another thing was we wanted to give them names, just name the stakes because you could give it a purpose so you can remember it later. When you have something like 50 or 100 or even 200, 500 stakes going, that's useful to just be able to name it, right? Mm-hmm. Or what we came up with was, what about if you just transfer a whole stake? This would be a crazy idea, and it would be awesome for DeFi to have that, to transfer whole stakes, because a stake obviously has a value itself, so why not transfer this value? Why not give the people the opportunity to do that? And then we came up with the idea, when we do that, why not have a decentralized exchange, no middlemen, no intermediaries, something like that, no custody, to have a decentralized exchange for people to offer stakes for sale and to buy stakes. That would be good. So you don't have to end early and have the penalties and all of those things. Just provide an ecosystem, a staking ecosystem that provides more flexibility to the people. That was the basic idea. So at that point, it just didn't exist at all, and nobody was talking about it. But it was in our mind, and we have seen this would really be a cool thing. So, from my computer science background, I was thinking, okay, you could learn Solidity maybe and just try to do that. And so I did. And I developed all of those things. And yeah, that was the story how it started.
That is really impressive. So do you have a team, or did you kind of do this by yourself?
Today, of course, there is a team. But when we started, or when I started, the team was basically like my lawyer and me talking about those things, and one or two friends. And it wasn't really a team. There was no organization or something. It was just me sitting there, figuring out, learning how to write the code, right, and getting familiar with Solidity and blockchain technology. And it was so interesting. It was hard as well, because you can really imagine, like, you have to wait until your girlfriend goes to bed, and then it's like 10 in the evening, and then you sit on your computer like 4 hours, then it's 2 in the night, and you have to go to bed because you have to get back up at 6 or something. So it's also a hard time, but it was really very interesting. I mean, you can figure yourself to be in that position. It's really hard because you have basically 2 jobs. Yes, but so I did that, and it was good. It's a very creative process. You can imagine that, to write code and develop something that doesn't exist. That's a really creative and interesting process. So I enjoyed that, and maybe that's a good point as well to mention. For me, it was important that nobody would see the code before I deploy it, or before somebody deploys it. Because it couldn't be stolen or hacked or altered or something like that. That was very important. We've seen something in the past where, for example, Axion has, everybody knows that, I guess, the story of Axion. There was this guy from this blockchain developing company, everybody knows the name, and one of the guys who deployed the code changed the code before and stole, like, I think it was $500,000. So this shouldn't happen in Rex, and yeah, that's why I didn't let anybody see the code, and I haven't shared it. But before the start of Rex 1, we already started to build something like a community, make a Telegram chat, and ask the people to join testnet and speak about the things that are about to come, and ask for more ideas and something like that. And yeah, so those early guys who joined the Telegram very early somehow became part of the team later. Yeah. And now there's like, I think 115 people in the team taking care of all of those things that you need. It's graphic design, it's Twitter accounts management, and anything you could imagine. There's a Rex banking team. There's who will take care of technology things in terms of Rex credit cards, something like that. So they already started to figure out how to do that later. And there's a lot of teams, SEO teams, and editors, writers, copywriters, like quite everything. Community managers, of course, loads of community managers. We have all those language communities for from China to Germany and Turkey and all the big countries, crypto countries, African teams, and yeah, like everything, Spanish teams. So yeah, it's a lot of people involved right now, and it's very exciting to see this grow. And yes, this is basically a decentralized team, what I think is very good, because when people's lives change, they can maybe do something else that's more important in that second, so other people can jump in. It's a very flexible situation, and I really like that, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great. So you ended up deploying on the Binance Smart Chain, right? And what made you go over to BSC? And that turned out to be a great decision, by the way, you know, because of the fees. Were fees bad at the time, or what brought you to BSC?
Yes, while we were thinking about deploying Rex in the next days, it was quite, or like a month before we launched, we've developed everything for Ethereum actually, and like a month before we redecided and go to the smart chain because of the Ethereum fees. Yeah. For example, I ended one of my hex stakes. There were like $1,500 in it, something like that, and I paid 700, like 50% of that, for ending the stake and changing it back to Ethereum. And it was horrible. So we couldn't do that in Rex, obviously. So we were looking for other chains, and talked to the community and to our tech guys. And we decided for the smart chain, yeah, because it's a 3-second block time. It's quite quick. And it was very affordable. It's just cents to pay for a transaction. And when you want to do a staking ecosystem and want the people to actually pay for all the transaction costs, you have to choose a chain that is not that expensive, because it was not only about the whales, of course, but also Rex should always be crypto for everyone. And when a transaction is like $70, this doesn't improve anything. So you just can't do that. That's why we went to the smart chain. And we were thinking that Binance is a big player, so they will keep supporting their smart chain. And yeah, that was a good feeling to have this Binance in the background as well. And at that time, the smart chain wasn't that polluted with all the Shiba Inu copies. So it was a good place to be in the beginning. Now it's awful, I think, but that's just my personal opinion. Yeah, that's how we came to the Binance smart chain.
So
the BNB smart chain.
Richard, he decided just to go ahead and fork Ethereum, which really I think he's kind of forking BSC anyway. You know, so what do you think about Richard Heart?
Richard Heart is misunderstood, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know how to answer that. Of course, I've been, as an early Hexagon, may I say that, I of course watched a lot of his videos, and what I really like is that he explains a lot of things quite good, and makes crypto made it accessible and understandable for me as well. So I learned from him. I absolutely admit that. So I respect him for that. There is this, as a German, I might add, when you do the marketing that he actually does, like buying things and showing that on video, that's not something that we like so much in Germany, because we are more not bragging most of the time. So maybe I don't need that, and maybe I don't want to. I wouldn't do that for Rex. I wouldn't go on a stage and show my new Lamborghini or something. That's not who I am. But I think it's his thing. So I respect him for the things, for the positive things that he did, and I absolutely respect him.
Okay, so is there any kind of friction between the Hex community and the Rex community? Has there been any kind of drama or anything, or does everybody just kind of mind their own business, or?
I think there are indeed some connections. Speaking of myself, being into Hex early, and my friends, some of my friends have been in Hex. We are Hexicans. Many of the actual Rexicans are former or current Hexicans as well. I think it's not about one or the other. I mean, read the Kramer's 25 investment hints. You will find that you should always distribute your risk, different assets, asset classes, and all of those things. And so for cryptocurrencies, you should be in several cryptocurrencies, I guess. Maybe have some of the big five or something, and also do some staking tokens. And it's not Hex or Rex, of course. Obviously, it isn't. I'm not a maxi myself. I embrace technology. I love to try new things as well. And so I think some of the Hexicans are maxis right now. They defend, of course, because they can't. Maybe imagine yourself having like 10 stakes that are 10 years, and you can't get out of them, your Hex stakes. So what do? You're trying to defend your project, and you have to be a maxi because you don't have flexibility to sell it or to do anything. So you have to really defend it until you're, which is a good fundamental, by the way. But I think it's not appropriate today to have this kind of like prison you can't get off. But
Yeah,
to
and a lot of times I
repeat
think.
that quite quickly. Yes, you do. I think there's. I think the Hexicans who are like open-minded. Many of them are Mexicans as well.
Yeah, and that's the community that we have here. You know, we're just free thinkers. You know, we're not going to believe that one specific cryptocurrency is some sort of panacea. You know what I mean? It's just you diversify your risk, and it's a fun staking project and things like that. But we don't like get into any of the cult nature of Hex or anything like that. But it is a great fun staking platform. You know.
Yes.
So, how do you see the cryptocurrency space in the next 6 to 12 months?
In general, I would say it's quite a hard question for me because when you are so deep into one project and manage so many people and things, it has become harder and harder for me to follow the whole thing. But I think, from my perspective, there will be more bear, and I think bull will be coming in the course of the next year, maybe at the end of next year, something like that. I'm not quite sure about that. I'm not too deep into all the things going on in the world. And I think, from my perspective, it's just about the technology, for example, in our project, and to make it safe, secure, sustainable forever. So it was not a focus of my of my learnings in the last time, but I think it should be something like 6 to 12 months actually until we maybe see some bullish phase again.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, like we're living in a world right now where the numbers, the earnings, nothing matters. It only matters is if the money printer is on or off, And they've made it very, very
Yes.
clear that they're going to do whatever it takes to tame inflation right now, and basically they're going to raise rates until something breaks, and then it's going to go back to easing. It's all going to reset once again, and the bull market will return. And I happen to agree with you. 6 to 12 months after that, I think we're going to start seeing a little bit of relief, but I don't think we're quite out of it yet. And I think that the communities that are going strong during this market, right, during this bear market, they're the ones that are going to be the headliners. You know what I mean? So,
Absolutely, yeah. And that was a very good explanation, by the way. That's,
thank you.
yeah, absolutely. I share this. I share this your thoughts. Yeah, absolutely. Good explanation.
So basically your team and you're pretty anonymous, and now you're here on my stream. What made you change your mind and kind of like being more outspoken and open with your product?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was really thinking like it was absolutely possible to develop such a thing, and like the protocol would sell itself. And indeed, in the Rex 1 version, it did, because of the inflation that we had in there. You received as an investor 30% per day as staking rewards, so it was like a no-brainer, and it really sold itself. But that was not on purpose, actually. Maybe we can talk about that later. But now the current and final Rex protocol that we have, which is triple audited for that reason, so that those
What
code
happened?
errors could never exist.
This is a pretty
again.
good time.
Right.
This is a good time to ask. What I'm very curious. I know there's some troubles on V1. Can you touch on that a little bit? Just so like what happened and what was your solutions?
What happened was that at some point we wanted to test the code better, so we figured let's do some test nets, and we did 13 test nets, always developing the code further and further. And like on testnet, I think it was 13, 14, something like that, the people said, okay, let's put this on mainnet. It works so beautifully, it's all so cool, let's just do this. And they were really pushing me. And I was like, okay, it really works out very well. It looked good. Everything works. And so let's just do an audit for security so the code can't be hacked, because I wasn't quite sure about attack vectors. I don't know all the attack vectors in the world. So let's just hire a company to check that. And we hired a company, and they found no attack vectors in terms of hacking. So we thought, okay, let's put it on mainnet. And it turned out that that was a very big mistake, because we had two code errors. One was we had quite an infinitely powerful T-Rex support token that we introduced. And this, imagine Hex, you always get the initial share rate forever if you have a T-Rex. We thought that would be a good idea, but it wasn't, because you could write a smart contract, put a T-Rex in there, so everybody using your smart contract then would have the initial share rate forever. So this kind of destroyed the whole share price idea and system. So that was very bad. We fixed that with a smart contract that we developed quite quickly and put it on top of that, so everybody could use this. Like a bug that everybody could use is not a bug anymore. But we also realized that this 30%, that's like the second thing that was in there, the flaw, the really code error, wrong number in contract. So we thought that this 30% per day, interest, rewards, would go down, and it did. But we expected it to go down to 5% per year, and it went to something like 9.2% per day. And as soon as people started to see that, and then of course the people just sold, and everybody sold, and the price fell down. And while we have seen that, and the people started to think about that and talk about that, and the price started to fall, we have been thinking, no, we have to fix this as well, like the T-Rex error. And we really thought we could somehow repair it or change it or do something. So we've been really spending like a week talking to the people, finding solutions and all of those things. In crypto, that's like forever. But we really thought we could find a solution, and at some point it was obvious that we couldn't be solved. The contracts were unchangeable. So not having this audit, the full audit, where professional companies really compare your actual code and what it does to the white paper and what it should do, you have to do that. You always have to do that. So what we then did, of course, for the new Rex token was 3 audits. Basically, it's 2 audits in the hackathon, but it's like 3 full audits, so that those companies really check that anything like a tokenomics, economics audit, it's all in there, and you have to have that. Just another example, I saw a Rex copy. It was called Nox, not Equinox, who just copied Rex code. Major parts of the Rex code were just copied, by the way. And you can see that it's on the blockchain, right? It's published code, and there were some new ideas in it, but those guys as well, they just said, hey, we ran one testnet, that's enough, we don't need an audit. And then there was this flaw as well, so you could somehow gain the auctions. And so it failed. And that's my advice for everybody out there. You have to do audits. Get professionals, no matter how professional you are, external people will find more errors. So you have to do that. In cooperation with Certic, for example, and Solidity Finance, there was quite a list where you could improve transaction fees, and there were like 2 or 3 errors that I didn't see. So it's absolutely important to do that. Yeah.
And how did that impact the community? I know a lot of people sold, they took profits and stuff like that. Have people kind of come back? Has it slowly been growing again, or?
At that time, I was trying to keep the community together and explain what just happened and why, and what we're gonna do. And so indeed, from the when the flaw was discovered and people started to sell, until Rex 2 the final Rex has launched, we gained a lot of new people actually. So we started bigger than when we left the Rex 1 protocol. Yes, I think it was most important that we just talk to the people in an honest and transparent way. And at that time, we already promised the people, never promise anything, but what we really promised that we would relaunch and that we would somehow try to compensate the people for losses that they have. And we managed to do that. In Rex One Protocol, imagine there have been $12.8 million gains and 12.8 something like that $1 million losses. And we managed to write the new smart contract that a small percentage of the auction incoming BUSDs are not used for compensation. And we already compensated several $100,000 to trading losses actually in Rex 1. And I thought it was very important to tell the people that we are not here to make some money or something, but it was really about the protocol, to see this technology in DeFi and to be recognized and to be used by everybody. So,
That's awesome, because usually when something goes wrong, everybody just folds up and say, hey, it didn't work out. Social experiment, oh, didn't work out. Sorry, guys. But you rectified it, you fixed it, the protocol is still going, and you managed to compensate as many people as you could. Of course, there's some risks involved when you are buying experimental cutting edge technologies like Rex or any other cryptocurrency. You know what I mean? So you can't really compensate everybody, but the fact that Rex is still here. People are, I don't really hear anybody saying it's a scam or anything like that, and you guys are still building and improving the protocol. That's pretty good. That's a win. I think that's the kind of staying power that you need. Now, I don't know. Forgive me. I don't know a bunch about Rex, but so there is an auction going on right now, correct?
Yes.
Can you explain that? Is that going to be like kind of like the AA lobby, or because I'm actually kind of looking at getting into this.
Yes, of course. The actual Rex auctions are 222 days, and we are day 62, something like that. So it's just been 2 months, and there are another a lot of days coming. And you can imagine that like the Hex AA lobbies, it is a mechanism where you just on a daily basis maybe send your tokens to that contract, and you will receive, after the day has ended, the contract checks, okay, how many BUSDs are there, and then the Rex tokens of that day are being distributed to the people. It's made claimable for the people. You mint your own Rex tokens then, right? But in Rex, you could as well decide for not claiming them liquid, but you could decide for claiming them as a stake. And when you choose to do that, you have to stake it for 222 days minimum. You can also stake that for 10 years, of course, but 222 days is the minimum. And when you do that, you are eligible for big paydays. And that's another thing that's interesting in Rex, and what I think much better than in Hex, my personal opinion. We give back 75% of the incoming BUSD via daily big paydays. So if you join the auction, send BUSD, and you fetch your Rex the other day as a stake, that's a commitment, right? And as a bonus or reward or happy surprise, you're eligible for big paydays. So during the whole rest of the auction phase, you're eligible every day to receive a big payday. So you can win it even at multiple times your investment back, and that's very interesting.
How does that work? I'm curious. I'm curious about that.
Yes.
So is it something like a lottery, or like how does that work?
Yes, absolutely. It's a lottery. There's do you want the technical explanation, or do you just want it to, as a general?
Like as a general explanation, I was just wondering how like the mechanics, the gears, how that turns, because that's very interesting to me.
Yes. In general, it's like when you join the auctions and then stake your Rex the other day, you are eligible for big paydays. You can join you could also buy Rex on PancakeSwap, like our secondary market. You could also buy Rex there and make a staking ladder with them. But as long as and you could as well rejoin the auctions on another day. Like if you want to DCA in the auction phase, you can join every day, once per day, and when you then once claim your Rex liquid, you're out of the big payday lottery. But as long as you stake all of those things all of those Rex tokens from the auctions, you're going to be eligible the whole time, no matter if you've been hit or not. So you could be hit the other day, and then a week later, and again, and the contract always tries to give you your whole investment back. Imagine you put 100, the other day you stake that. And maybe you get a big payday, so get your 100 back, right? You just put them into the auctions again, and then the auction knows, okay, this guy has now put 200. So if you are hit again, you're gonna get 200 then. You could put it again, and the contract knows, okay, this guy has now put 400, so you could compound your big paydays. I haven't seen that anywhere else.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. I'm just curious about a couple things. So you get paid out right away, or like you get paid out when the stake is ending?
Right away.
Right away? Wow, that is really unique and cool. Yeah, I didn't know that. So the one thing that I was curious about is, what about do you have an emergency unstake function, and how does that work?
It's quite the same as in Hex. You just you can do that anytime. Of course, you don't have to, because you could as well sell the whole stake. That's the cool thing in the decentralized exchange for the stakes. That will open on day 111. So in like 50 days, the decentralized exchange will be live for the first time ever. In DeFi, you will see how that works. And you can basically offer a stake that has already passed 10% of its duration. You can offer it. So you can't just create it and offer it, right? So you have to wait until 10% has passed. And then you can offer it, and other people can just buy it for the amount that you want to have. You can set the price for that stake, and the duration in days, how long it is for offer, and that's basically how it works. And so you don't have to end it early. And
there's no reason to.
If you do, it's the same mechanism like in Hex. You use your a portion of your principal and a portion of your rewards.
And where did the penalties? First, I just want to say that sounds great, because it seems like you have a hedron built in. It's like a built-in hedron, which is actually the main token. So it's not like you have to go to a different website and wrap it. Correct? You can just your stake you'll be able to sell it like a hedron stake, but it's actually seamless, or
yes. Might add, it was the other way around, because I think the Hex guys understood what Rex is doing, and then Hedron has been developed to give the Hex ecosystem that same function. You just check the dates when happened what in the past, and you will see that Rex invented this earlier. And but that's fine. It's not about who did this first, right? I think the good thing is, when do you want to just to think about that? When do you want to end the stake early? Why would you do that? You're losing money. You don't want to do that. You might want to do that because you need money. In Rex, you have the possibility to withdraw already earned staking rewards. So you don't have to wait for anything. You just grab the rewards that are in your stakes if you need money urgently. That's the flexibility you have in the Rex stakes. You just grab the rewards. So you will have a little less of the shares ongoing in that stake, but you have the money already. And so that's really flexible.
And it's really a
maybe
fun.
You don't have to early end stake.
Yeah, and it's really a fun speculative game as well, which creates more engagement, in my opinion, where it's like, oh, I can buy this stake from somebody who needs the money, but I'm speculating that these shares are going to be worth way more in the future. So it's like, it makes engagement, and of course it reduces sell pressure, which is the most important thing, So yeah, that's very cool. I do have one more question. So how are the penalties distributed? I suppose once your decentralized exchange is live and you'll be able to sell your hex stakes, there'll probably be less and less people that are selling. I mean, you'd have to be crazy to emergency unstake. So, but what do the penalties look like? Is it like hex? 50% goes to the original wallet, and then 50% gets distributed by the stakers.
There is no origin address in Rex because we don't think that's useful. We have decided not to do that. I think it's not a good idea. When you have such an address, first point, what if something happens to the guy or girl who has access to this? Maybe there's an accident or something, so there's people coming after you, like your children, your children then have it, and they just take all the money out of it. So that's not good. It's not good to have that at all, I think. And the other thing is, like Richard sometimes says, yeah, it's good to have that because then the stakers who stake, because the OA doesn't stake, they have higher APR. Yeah, but you could just write into the code that the APR should be higher. It's not a necessity to have an OA to achieve that. You can just write another number in the code. So
I think
that's not. So we didn't want to have that.
So I think he just didn't want to have admin keys, correct? So like, how do you set the APR if you don't have any admin keys to change the code? Well, then you would just have the OA stake more or stake less, right? Am I correct? Is that kind of like he wanted to be able to control the APR without admin keys? Do you think that's why the OA has so many coins?
I don't know the reasons. Maybe as an emergency exit for him to be able to withdraw all of those things if anything goes wrong, something like that. It's total speculation. I have no idea why this thing exists. I mean, if he could prove somebody he has access to that, he might get a loan or something because it's like security for him to show somebody that he has this access, or because he obviously has not used it at all. So it's speculation why it's there. It doesn't make sense in terms of the staking protocol itself. So it's just speculation for me.
It looks. I think it does more harm.
But another thing you asked was what's with the penalties? If you end your stakes early, of course this goes to the stakers as well.
It just gets distributed to the stakers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
Let me ask you this, because I'm not that familiar with Rex, and I assume that a lot of people that are watching are not. But a lot of my community is Hexicans, So if you could say, what are 3 significant differences between Hex and Rex, and why are they better? 2 parts.
I think the main thing is surely the flexibility for the people. I think that's worth a lot because today people's lives change more often. Something happens to them, they have to move, people work around the world and different situations. So I think the flexibility is a very, 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 very big plus. What I explained before are the big paydays. Imagine you join the auctions,
I like that too.
Then you have from now
Hello?
You could just do that, and if you have a big payday, you basically have free Rex. So
hey Thomas, I lost you for the last Thomas. I lost you for the last 30 seconds. We had a little bit of a hiccup in the connection. I'm sorry. Can you please repeat that one more time?
Yes, absolutely. You asked what's the benefits in Rex compared to Hex, and I think it's basically the flexibility that you have. It's very important because people's lives change more often today. People work all around the world. There are more divorces and all of those things. So I think the flexibility is the very best point, and to have decentralized place for trading stakes that is so brand new, and I think it's very beautiful to have that in DeFi. And the other thing is surely the big payday system, where when you just join the auctions and send a few dollars and you are hit once by the 24 hours, every 24 hours those big paydays occur. and you're hit once, and there are still like hundreds of 170 something like that days to go, and you're only hit once, you get your full investment back, so you're basically getting your Rex for free. And this is totally I mean, if you want to buy Hex now, you just go to an exchange or to you just swap the tokens. There is no chance you get your Hex for free. You have to buy them. And when you enter Rex now, you have the chance to get them for free via joining the auctions and having.
And that's going to last for another 159 days, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And okay. I really like that. And one thing that interests me about Rex is that, well, it's in its rollout phase, and of course, you know, we're at the bottom of the curve for Rex. We're in the beginning, which is always exciting. Which I always say this thing: if you can't be smarter than someone else, you have to be first, because crypto is a zero-sum game. You know what I mean? And this looks new and fresh and exciting. But the other thing is, it's on BSC. So the problems that we're trying to solve with Pulse Chain are pretty much, for now, in this current state, are completely fine on BSC. So that doesn't really need to solve the Pulse Chain problem. And I'm familiar with Hex, and this feels familiar. You know what I mean? That's kind of why I like it. And also, you know, when's Pulse Chain going to come? You know, is Pulse Chain going to come? I was a heavy sacrificer into Pulse Chain and Pulse X. So it's like, yeah, you know, I'm excited about this for the Hex ecosystem and stuff. But like, I'm familiar with BSC already. BSC is a strong chain. Binance Chain is a strong chain, and I trust it. And that's kind of like my appeal to it all. So just putting it in my head. And the lottery thing sounds pretty great too.
Good point, yeah.
What kind of incentives, like let's say after the rollout phase goes through and everything like that, what's the incentive to stake Rex?
As you said before, there are a lot of hexagons here, so I guess it's like the same reasons, right? When you have a sustainable, let's call it a store of value, that's surely worth a lot. And I mean, when there is awareness and adoption, and the team really cares about also, let's say, people who are not in crypto yet, and to gain more people into crypto, and I think that's positive for like the whole world. So Rex is looking for having all those people be educated and join the ecosystem, and this of course drives adoption and awareness and more people coming in, and this of course would lead to price appreciation. That's what we saw in Hex, onboarding people. And so what we're trying to do as well is to make it as easy as possible, provide cool apps so that people understand blockchain faster, easier, it's easy to use, create an application for mobile phones, that's what people have in the world, and an internet connection. So that's all they need to join Rex as well. And Rex really aims to be an asset management solution on the blockchain. So what we're trying to do is to develop more, for example, also a metaverse situation where people can meet online, talk, get to know each other. It's like a worldwide connection thing, and also you can do courses, classes, something like that, and meet other people from all around the world, something like that. So what we want to be is an inclusive money. I say that. That's our idea.
Okay, so what is like the future? What I meant kind of by that was like, what's the upcoming roadmaps? What you kind of briefly touched on this. You said you're going to kind of like build a metaverse platform. You'll have an app for your phone. So you guys are continuously developing. Then you said the decentralized exchange. That's going to allow you to trade and sell your stakes and things like that. So those are kind of like on the upcoming roadmap. Then, anything else?
Is there anything else?
Well, because what seems like to me is that you guys are builders. You know what I mean? And like you guys are always building on things. And like Hex is kind of done. It just seems that hexagons are like adding onto it now. Just like you know, you got Hedron, and then they have a bunch of different whatever, you know, like Pulse Doge and all these little things in the ecosystem. I guess that's kind of what I'm asking is. What all do you have like coming up that you're excited about?
Um, at first, Rex itself as a staking token with the decentralized exchange, all those contracts that exist, is an absolutely finished and, like Hex, a triple audited product, sustainable, and you could just use it. You could say it's a finished project. We don't have any admin keys, so it will run forever. It's there. People can use it. So that's the one thing. And the other thing is what you just mentioned. Hexicans develop things on Hex, on the token, and provide more possibilities, like Hadron, what you just mentioned. The Rex team itself, all those people that are involved in Rex right now, are also looking for such things. We could imagine a lot of things that could happen in the future. I just mentioned some, but the technology is developing so fast that we can't even know what there might be in a year or two. What we can assure is that we want to also provide more things in the future. We could think of something like lending and those things. I'm not a big fan of yield farming, but that's an option for the people maybe who would like to do that. You could easily build that on Rex as well. What we're trying to do is to also be multi-chain able, at least. So what we are doing at the moment is further develop the Rex smart contracts that we have, and we are thinking about a multi-chain system that does not dilute the values that we have on Binance Smart Chain already and will be existing in the future. We just started and we're building up, right? So we don't want to dilute the values, of course. The main thing in Rex is to always think about the investors. And the funny thing is, we don't have any team tokens, right? So all the guys in the Rex teams are also investors. So what we're trying to do is really make this better for everybody out there. Yes, so there is a strong incentive for ourselves to develop it further and further, and we are reworking the Rex smart contracts right now, because when we find another chain that we want to be on, and when it's the right timing, we will do that, and we'll try to connect those things without diluting the values of all the investors that are there.
Okay, so I guess the natural question is, are you gonna have are you going to migrate some of that onto Pulse Chain if that ever comes out? So will there be will there be a Rex on PLS?
So we're talking about things that might or might not happen.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, when the Pulse Chain, if it would be announced to be there in a month, we would be ready to deploy. The thing is, I think it really makes sense that Rex proves itself like long term on the smart chain where we are now, so people can see, okay, this is really working so smoothly and it's awesome, and then we could do copies and connect those things as an ecosystem with bridging and so on. But at the very moment, I would say no copies yet. But Pulse Chain, when it's there in like let's say half a year, something like that, maybe it's already good time that we could consider to deploy there as well. And
yeah, and Pulse Chain
currently we have a list of 12. We have a list of I think 12 blockchains where we could go to, and we have some sort of analysis what would be best. But let's just wait for Pulse Chain, and at first let's wait for Rex to develop more and see more hexagons in Rex. And then, then we could think about that. It's all about the investors. It was always about the investors, and it always will be. We will always talk to the community first and ask for their opinions and so on.
Okay, yeah, that sounds great. So, is there anything that I've kind of missed that you wish that you could have talked about? I'm open to anything before we conclude. You know?
Yes, I think I missed one point. Rex has, you asked for 3 things.
Yes.
That maybe Rex is, let's call it better than Hex. And the third point would be Rex has programmed a higher APR, still being sustainable. In Rex, we have the possibilities to use those booster tokens, MREX and TREX, when you have up to 5 MREX in your wallets, it's a booster token, you can buy it on PancakeSwap or via the website. Then you will be able, you will just get more tokens from the auctions, so you just get more REX. And when you get a T-Rex, you can buy that on the website. Then you will get 25% more shares as if you have no T-Rex in your wallet. So you can really boost your, if you really want to deep dive and get the maximum out of REX, you just get 5 MREX and 1 T-Rex, and your APR will be like up to 59%. You can see that on the website from stakes that are already running. When people send you screenshots, you can see it goes up to 59%, something like that. And that's obviously more than Hex has. The rewards are paid in REX, of course, from the staking, like in Hex. Yes, and obviously the Hex has something around like 40%, 38%. The programmed APR in Hex is 3.69, I guess, and 10% of the people, or 10% of the tokens are staked. So you get like 10 times the 3.69. That's around, 37% something. That's their APR, right?
Yes.
In tokens. When you are an average staker, average duration, and so on. And in REX, you have the possibility, by getting the booster tokens, to bring that up to almost 60%. So that's a higher number, right? So if you will boost your REX stakes.
Hey, I lost you. Sorry, I lost you. But yeah, that is super interesting. So you can just go buy a token that's going to boost your APY. Like, for how long does it boost it? And then I can go
boost.
Go ahead.
The T-Rex boost token is made in a way that when you have it in your wallet, in the moment that you create a stake, the stake will receive 25% more shares. After that, you can sell it or send it to a friend or whatever, or just leave it in your wallet. So in the moment that you create a stake, you will have 25% more shares in that stake as if you don't have a T-Rex. That's how it works.
Is it per one stake, or how does that work? So let's say I buy a T-Rex. Let's say I buy a T-Rex today off the open market, right? I put it in my wallet. And as I hold that T-Rex, I open up a stake. That stake is going to be 25% more. And then what happens? Can I use it to just keep opening stakes? And if I sell that, if I sell that T-Rex, does that stake still have?
Afterwards.
You can sell it after.
Yes, of course. You just need it in that very moment where you create a stake. The smart contract, the REX smart contract will check whether there's a T-Rex or not. And if you have one, you will have 25% more shares in that stake that you just created. And afterwards, of course, you could sell your T-Rex or just leave it there, whatever you like. It doesn't matter. It's just in the second where you create the stake, the T-Rex must be there.
How many can I create with the T-Rex in my wallet?
You can create unlimited stakes, I guess. For example, in REX there is also a function where you can bulk create stakes. You can do just one transaction and create like 50 stakes. And you can tell a smart contract, like, yeah, that's really good, because when you want to create a staking ladder, you just do one transaction. You just tell the smart contract, okay, there's this stake with so many REX for those days and so many REX for those days. And so you really just, it's on the website, you can check it out. It's on Rex.io. You just launch the app, which is app.rex.io, and you just go there, connect your wallet, and then you get yourself some REX from the auctions or from PancakeSwap and try it yourself. It's really cool. You can create like 50 stakes ending every week, something like that. It's really that simple. It's just one transaction you have to pay, like 50 cents. That's it.
That's a really crazy like idea. I like that, and it just makes me think that like REX is like a firmware update for Hex. You know, like Hex is like Hex guys are maxis, like big time maxis. Like you can compare them to the Bitcoin guys. Like this is it. This code is the Bible. You know what I mean? You would never change it. It's sacrilegious. You know what I mean? And then you went ahead and you're like, yeah, but it'd be better if Hex had an update, it would be REX. You know what I mean? That's what it looks like to me, you know. Yeah. But they're building Hedron and they're building things on top of it and stuff, and then it's becoming like this web of dApps and apps and stuff, and it seems like you kind of firmware updated it all into one kind of thing. It looks pretty cool, which I know you're probably going to have like stuff built on it and stuff like that. I just find it interesting that it's like Hex 2.0 kind of in a way, you know. I don't know, not trying to offend you or anything, but that's what it seems like. It's kind of like if Hex had a firmware update, it'd be something like this, because that is badass, especially like on, even if you're like, let's say cryptocurrency goes and hits 5 trillion market cap and BSC fees are insane, or like whatever next meme pops up on BSC makes fees go nuts, you know. Because I remember I was staking PancakeSwap, you know, that I was staking Cake, and I made a lot of money staking Cake. And in those days when Cake was running, this was around Elon in time, even the BSC prices, the transaction fees were climbing. So even if like BSC goes off the rails or something like that, you can still make a staking ladder with one fee, and that's cool. I find that pretty cool.
Yes, I think that's cool as well. I think, yeah, you know, I knew Hex already, and when I made the Rex protocol, I did not want to destroy the beauty of Hex, and there is obviously a beauty of Hex. Like when there is less people who stake, they get a higher APR. So that's kind of beautiful that's in there, and we just wanted to preserve that, because that's really, it's good tokenomics. It's just good tokenomics. It's very beautiful. All those things. It's obviously not a Ponzi as well. It's really good code Hex. I don't want to say anything bad about that. I really appreciate it. And as a Hexagon myself, and an early Hexagon myself, I really can't say anything bad. Absolutely. But when you create something new with more flexibility, you're trying to do as much as you can. There are even more examples. Imagine in Rex, you can also decide if you want to, like when the stake is active, before it gets mature, if you want to be able to withdraw your staking rewards from time to time, maybe, you can do it as often as you want. If you want to be able to do that, then it's called a revocable stake. If you do it irrevocable, you will get another 25% more shares, but then you don't have the chance, then you don't have the flexibility to withdraw the staking rewards. So that's another option that you have. You can do the full commitment and do it irrevocable. You will get another 25% more shares than not doing it irrevocable. So that's another thing you could do. And I just recommend any Hexagon to really have a look at that, because I think it's very beautiful, and it has a lot of flexibility, and I'm very sure that a lot of people will recognize this, and so they will maybe buy it and invest in that, because it's really next generation DeFi. It's surely an advanced protocol.
But you're telling me that you can grab rewards before the stake is over?
Yes, while the Rex stake is active, you can withdraw the staking rewards that the stake has already earned, for example, if you need some money. And in comparison to Hex, at first you cannot do that, but in Rex you can still decide not to be able to do that. We call that to create a stake irrevocable. So you don't have the possibility to withdraw your staking rewards before maturity. So that's a commitment, right? So for this, creating a stake irrevocable and not being able to withdraw them, you get another 25% more shares. So those committed people, and that's very interesting, that's very new as well. So if you want to have let's say you create a stake that is 10 years long. That's the maximum in Rex. 10 years. That's a very long time, right? For crypto. So let's imagine you just do that, and you could consider to create it revocable, because for the next 10 years you will be able to withdraw staking rewards from time to time, or like as often as you want. So that's really like passive income.
Yeah, and de-risking, you know, and de-risking.
Yes.
And also it really incentivizes a 10-year stake much more to be like, hey, you know what, I'm going to be able to get some of these rewards back. who knows what the world's going to be like in 10 years, you know what I mean? And it really would make me more likely to stake for 10 years, you know? So.
Yeah, because it's such a long time, and you get, of course, it's not like that when you stake like 1 year or 2 years. It's not double the stakes, but it goes like a little bit exponential, but just a little bit. So staking for 10 years really gives you like 3 times, something like that, 3 to 4 times the number of shares. So it's very rewarding, but when you do it revocable, you will be able to withdraw staking rewards every day if you like. You will lose some shares then, so it will earn a little bit less staking rewards in the future because you lose those shares for the upcoming days, right? But it gives you so much flexibility. So when the price goes up like crazy, you just sell some of your staking rewards, withdraw them, sell. Or if you have you could do a lot of strategies. I mean, you see how crazy this is, right? You could just do a staking ladder that is, or just create some 10 years stakes maybe that are revocable, so you can grab your staking rewards. And you can do as well do a staking ladder with one transaction where you have those irrevocable stakes. You can create them all irrevocable to get 25% more shares in those stakes and then let them end regularly, and then you have the REX with quite a high APR. So there's a lot of room for strategies, and then also you could sell your stakes on the decentralized exchange. So there's a lot of game in it. You can really make a good strategy.
And that's what you meant by more flexible.
The easiest way. Once again.
Oh yeah, that's what you mean by more flexible. Now I understand.
So yes, it's not just REX. You have to imagine the REX stakes are currency itself.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So we're about at our 1 hour mark. We're gonna wrap this up. How do we get in contact? Where do we go to contact the REX team? Or you obviously Rex.io. You guys have a Telegram, things like that. How do we get into this? How do we research more?
Rex.io as the main website provides some information. We want to extend the website in the future and make it better. There's an assistant and all of those things. And when you scroll down, you find a link that says all Rex links. This gets you to the link tree, and in the link tree you have basically everything, all the information that we have. It's a one-pager and the Rex magazine. It's the way to find all the communities with all the different languages. Contract addresses, white paper, all of those things, and of course the Telegram connections that you might want to find, and also an email address, of course, obviously. I do read the emails, so you can just send an email to go@rextoken.com or write me a direct message on Telegram, I guess.
Okay. All right, and I'm going to put all of these links in the description box below. So I'm going to do like Rex.io. I'm going to put your Twitter in there. I'm going to put your Telegram in there. And is there anything else? That should be about right.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, well, I had a really great time, and thank you for being on my very first interview. Really excited about this, and
yes, thank you very much as well. I really enjoyed it. I think you did it great. It was,
thank you.
I think my first interview, like externally as well. So I was excited as well. Thank you very much for having me, and I want to invite all the Rexicans, of course, to like your channel and watch your videos, because when you invite us, I think your channel is really valuable.
Thank you very much, Thomas. I appreciate it. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Join the Wolf Pack, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.